Thank you. I kind of make a big deal about my age because, I like to talk about still kicking at this age. But that's a little bit off topic. What we really want to talk about is how fast this clicker works, and it's been giving people fits all day. I would invite you to walk with me into a modern office. It might be a big corporate office where you work. It might be your house, maybe. Think about the sound. What do you hear? The click of keys, a ping on the computer when somebody sends you a Slack message. It's the hum of the air conditioner over here. You might also listen to radio, or maybe there's a TV producer telling the news stories in another room, talking to nobody in particular. We wash our environment in sound because we are biologically afraid to live in silence. We're evolved that way. But what we don't hear very much of anymore is reciprocal conversation. We've replaced it with technology. We've made it so easy to use these cell phones in all of our pockets, or send emails, or anything but talk to each other. So real conversation is missing from the sounds that you hear in the office. But that's not how we evolved. Biologically, we are wired to live in communities where we actually talk to each other. Instructions, storytelling, chanting in the villages where we evolved, all of that was human voice, not electronic keys and little taps on your phone. Our very nervous systems are wired to think that the absence of human voice is danger. So that's why we're afraid of the silence. And I remember when I first went to a corporate office as a youngster, they were full of noise, people talking to each other. We solved problems in person. We might go to meeting rooms to do it, or we might do it in the hallway, but they were full of human voice. And I think now our bodies see that as famine. They almost read it as danger. There is an actual biological response to talking to another human. You have a vagus nerve that connects your brain to your heart, to your lungs, to your gut. The sound of your voice triggers this nerve and functions like the clicker for your whole body. Your vagus nerve creates all these lovely chemicals in your body, oxytocin that makes you feel like you belong, or all those ugly stress hormones that we do so much work to try and get rid of. That's all triggered by sound that comes in your ears, or can be, among other things. But we treat language as data. We don't stop to think all the other layers of communication, the sound of your voice. There's a word for it. It's prosody, which I think is a lot of fun to say. But that's the music of your voice, the rhythm, the lilt. It carries so much more information than just the words that you have to say. Let me give you an example how this works. We talked earlier about saying, I'm fine. But if I were to say, I'm fine, with a clipped tone, every husband in the room knows that I am not fine. You all clued into that nuance a few centuries ago. But if I were to say, I'm fine, then you instantly get a different message, even though the words are exactly the same. And that is the power of prosody at play. And that is why we don't get the same biological response out of sending a text message, no matter how many heart emojis you stick on it. You still don't hear it the same. So we may be awash in information and constant communication, but we are starving for human interaction, for real conversation. There is an actual lonely, clicker. Try it again. There is actually a loneliness epidemic going on in this country, so much so that the Surgeon General has declared it a public health emergency. You heard this study earlier. There was one done that was over 300,000 adult participants in this study, and they proved that people with weak social connections experience the same health problems as if they were smoking 15 cigarettes a day, which I find shocking. The flip side of that is if you have strong social connections, you actually spend time with your friends, you actually talk to them instead of texting them, then you have 50% higher odds of surviving the next year. This is not just a feel-good thing. This is an actual medical intervention if you can add friends. It is not some bougie lifestyle enhancement. We're not trying for a popularity contest. We're trying to meet an actual biological need for community and communication. I don't know if you've paid attention to how you feel when you talk to somebody that you really enjoy, but your heart will slow. Your nervous system relaxes. You feel hugged, maybe, although if you're really lucky, you get a hug too. And that settles so many things in your body. It actually improves your ability to resist disease. Your immune system likes conversation almost as well as your heart does. So one of the best things that you can do is spend time talking to people. This gentleman in the slide is sitting with other people. He may even be listening to his favorite music, his playlist with all of his favorite songs on it, but he's not talking to other humans. So even though he's out in the world, that is not helping his immune system a bit. Now, if he had an actual conversation with the barista, that might help the situation a bit. So that's my recommendation to you. Talk to the people out in your world, even if it's not a big, deep conversation. Maybe it's just hello to the person behind you at the grocery store. That's the start. I'm failing Quicker 101. Okay. So we don't do this to each other just at the office or the coffee shop. This same scene plays out in every home in America. We sit down to dinner. Everybody gets their phone out. And all you hear is the tap of a fork against a plate or the occasional laugh that has nothing to do with anything somebody said at the table. It gets very quiet, but it's not a companionable quiet. It's a distant quiet because nobody's really present. We're raising this whole generation of children that are fluent in emojis and LOLs and all those other acronyms, but they're starving for human voice. I felt this somewhat myself a few years ago. I was going through a period of reinvention, spending a lot of time in my home office. I was getting all my emails answered, like I was real close to inbox zero. I was meeting all my deadlines, doing all the things, and then one Tuesday afternoon, I realized that I had not talked to another human being in at least 3 days. My most intimate conversations had been by text. Luckily, the phone rang, and a friend of mine that I had known since high school called, and we had the most delightful conversation. We were giggling within minutes about stupid stuff we had done as children, and I felt my whole body relax. My heart rate went down. I could breathe better. It was a full body reset and a serious wake-up call. And I don't think we pay enough attention to how much being alone actually affects us. So, if not having enough voiced conversation is a biological toxin, then I propose to you that using your voice, having conversation with friends, is actually medicine. Now, we've always heard that laughter is the best medicine, and I think that's been around since long before we laughed at the TV or memes on our cell phone. That is true about laughter and conversation with other humans. And I believe that is the best medicine. Now, I will also offer that we often think of medicine, health improvements, as something very individual. Like we count our carbs, we count our steps, we go to the doctor, get our shots, all those things that you do to maintain your own personal health. But what if conversation with a friend, or a stranger for that matter, is an opportunity to improve the health for both of you? What if you co-regulate each other by spending time having conversation? What if some of the best preventative medicine available to you is talking to people? What if dinner with friends is absolutely the best thing you could do for your health this week? You know, as I was putting this talk together just yesterday, I read an article in LinkedIn from a renowned longevity researcher who said, one conversation a day is the best thing you can do for your own personal well-being. I think maybe that goes along with the apple a day thing. So an apple in a conversation and you're golden, right? I am not proposing to you that you get rid of the cell phone in your pocket. Lord knows I'm not going to. We're all addicted to that. You can't function in modern society without your technology. But what I would ask you to do is a little bit of an audit on your communication style. Pay attention to how you interact with other humans this week. Is it all text, or do you actually take the time to have conversation with people? Just pay attention. You're not accountable to anybody but yourself. I would ask you to look at it like this. If your own nervous system that is so regulated by how you interact with other humans, if it were a small, furry pet, would it be well fed, or would it be starving? So with that thought in mind, I'm going to challenge you 2 things this week. One text this afternoon. Instead of typing LOL back to a friend, I would invite you to pick up the phone and call them and tell them how much you enjoyed that text. Laugh, share your laughter. The prosody does worlds for them as well as for you. My second challenge is to pick an email conversation or a Slack chain and take it into real life. Invite that person out to coffee, out to lunch, or my personal favorite, happy hour, and talk to them and have a conversation. We don't have to do everything by emails. So that's my 2 challenges for you. Your biological nervous system that is so afraid of silence, well, thank you. Whoops. Well, there we go. All right, it's not perfect, but we're going with it. Well, I can't get to the slides, so we're going to do this the old-fashioned way. I'm going to leave you with this one message. If your voice is medicine, and you know that medicine unused does nobody any good, then who needs to hear your voice?